So today was the last day officially for the A's to play in Oakland before they go to Sacramento for the next 3 years, maybe 4 years depending. And I will say this, I don't really think it's going to be the last time we see them in Oakland. Something is just telling me that we'll probably see them there before they move to Vegas, if that move even happens, because John Fisher still has a lot of red tape to kind of go through to basically try to make it happen. I mean, some people would say that he's not even above the 50% mark. He's not even, above being halfway there. And there's a lot of obstacles he has to overcome to, make, that relocation a reality. And so for all we know, the A's could remain in Sacramento for 4 years, 5 years, or something might happen to where it gets renegotiated and it's like, hey, we got the Coliseum still, you know what, you guys still haven't gone to Vegas, we'll give you another year or so here in the Coliseum. And that might happen. We don't, because here's the thing, we do not know what is going to occur between now and then. Leadership in the city of Oakland could potentially change, and they could be like, look, it's not, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right. You guys are being in Sacramento. You guys playing this minor league team or minor league stadium. So you know what? We'll just bring you back here. We'll extend the lease. Either Fisher wants it or not, because this is your home until you leave officially for Vegas. And I could see something like that happening. I'm not saying it will, but I could see it potentially happening, and that becoming more of a reality than what we already could perceive being a reality right now with the move from Oakland to Sacramento. Now, as far as fans attending the games, a lot of the fans that went there today in this past week, I guarantee you, a lot of them are going to be like, hey, it may not be the Coliseum, but we'll do what we can. We'll do our damnedest, if you will, to make that skip and jump over to Sutter Park in Sacramento, and basically attend the A's games and all that. And I guarantee you, a lot of fans that always like to look forward to the Battle of the Bay series, they'll still technically get that, but it's gonna be more of the Battle of the Valley or Battle of whatever. They might still consider it Battle of the Bay. It's just gonna be like a long stretch, if you will, when it comes to Sacramento. But yeah, it's just one of those situations to where I think the Athletics, something just tells me they're going to be tied to California for a long time. And, and the only reason I say that is because unless Fisher can miraculously turn things around and get beyond that, 50%, that halfway point, and get to that 100% completion to get groundbreaking done, started, in the spring of next year, so that construction can begin. Unless he can pull off some miracle, which right now seems to be kind of difficult to do, he is, he's just going to probably have to deal with the fact that the A's are going to be tied to, Cali, the state of Cali, for quite some time, unless he can turn it around. And I can tell you this too: if he doesn't find a way to get around that, overcome those obstacles, a majority of the MLB owners, the association, they're going to look at him and be like, does this guy really have any clue of what he's doing? Or does he just not care about, any city? Or does he not care about the team in general, and he just wants to make money? So we'll see what happens. But as far as my memories go, I remember basically, and, I'm sure my parents took me and my sisters to the A's games when we were younger, but the one that sticks out to me was before me and my family moved to Waterford in '89, and I remember my family, or mostly me and my dad, going to an A's game as part of a field trip that my class went on. And I was at Patterson Elementary, I think, in Fremont, and I think it may have been around 88, I believe, 88, 89, so on. I think it was about 88, 89, because I remember we moved to Waterford that year. I think it was Waterford in the, before the fall and everything, before the earthquake actually. So I remember we moved there after me and my sisters finished school in Fremont, at Patterson, and I think Tennyson High. My older sister was at Tennyson High, and I think my second sister was at Patterson with me before she went to Tennyson High, or not Tennyson High, but Tennyson Junior High, and she joined her and all that. So yeah. Anyway, long story short, I was like in my final year there at Patterson Elementary before we moved, and I think it may have been around that time we went on that field trip and everything to the game. And I remember specifically, and this is the one thing people say to me, it's like, how can you remember that but you don't remember this? I think that's something everybody gets asked, and I think it's just, these are the kind of memories that you can never forget. And I remember specifically that when we went, the team they were playing were the California Angels. Then this is way before they changed their name to being the Anaheim Angels, or the Los Angeles of Anaheim Angels, or the Los Angeles Angels, period. This is when they were the California Angels. And I remember we were watching that game, just really getting into it. So that was a fun time. And I think the seats me and my dad were at, along with the rest of the class, well, right where the Terrence is, or whatever it's called, basically the top area that has the athletics name on it. We were in that area, I think a little under that. I think that's before they put that. So I remember that specifically. And then of course in the past, let me see, what has it been past? Almost 17 years this November since I've been back. In the past 17 years, me and my family have gone to several A's games. Whether it's been the A's against the Giants, or the A's against the Rockies, or the Mets. We've gone to them and enjoyed them. Mostly we try to attend the A's and Giants games when they would happen. Whether it be at the Coliseum or like last year at Oracle Park, we would attend the games and have a good time. In fact, I can remember last year's game was one of the games to where it was advertised that fans of the A's and even the Giants would join in chanting "Sell the team." So there was that moment to remember. It was also the Giants game where they paid tribute to Tony Bennett, because it was like after he had passed, and also the fact that there was two girls who had walked in together. They were a couple rows back from us. Two girls that walked in together, and all of a sudden, I guess because they had way too much, they ended up getting into it. They were basically fighting each other. They were trying to tear at each other, and it's like, okay, that's something to that's something to take back with you and everything. But yeah, I remember that. That was last year, and then of course we went to one years before, like 5 years ago, at the Coliseum and such. So yeah, just a lot of great memories. I remember that me and my family, when we lived in Waterford, tried to record the 89 World Series. We just couldn't because, well, our signal was crappy for some reason. And I think our VCR wasn't doing good or something. I don't remember what it was. I think it's because, it was at a time that VCRs, when they were around, you needed to have cable to record, channels and everything. So they made it to where you had to have like the coax cables to connect and stuff. So anyway, we tried our best to do that. Didn't work out well. But yeah, it was just a lot of great memories as an A's fan that I'll never forget. I remember a lot of times we would go to my grandparents and we would watch the A's there, especially if it was like during the playoffs or the World Series. We'd watch the games there, and everybody would be like, mostly everybody would be like for the A's, and some would be for the Giants, but mostly for the A's. My grandpa used to have I don't know if it was my aunt in Hayward, who lives in Hayward right now, or my aunt who lives in Tracy. One of them would print out these banners anytime like the 49ers or the A's would be in the playoffs, or the World Series or the Super Bowl, put up these banners, and they would put them right across the ceiling and all that, right across, like right at the top, they would put it, all across and everything. So, definitely great memories there. And also, speaking of my grandfather, one of the things I got from him was this right here, this is one of the, I think this may have been his or my uncle's, but this is something that I have right here. This is the Oakland A's jacket. The hanger needs to be fixed a little bit, but yeah, it's an Oakland A's jacket that I have, you know, that I got from him and everything. Just really, really proud of that. But then this one right here, this is something my mom got me back when we lived in Fremont. This jacket has been with me through thick and thin. I had this jacket back when I lived in Kansas, but this has been with me since essentially the start. In fact, I don't know if it still fits me. I doubt it does, but I've had this since about 89. I think it might have been, no, it wasn't Fremont. It was when we lived back in Hayward, on the Hayward-San Lorenzo border. And we were living in these apartments on Miquelon Avenue. And she bought me this. I came home from school one day and she had this box, you know, with this jacket waiting for me. And I think it's also when she bought the movie Fantasia on VHS. So she got me this, and I think it's because I did good in school. But yeah, it barely fits, but yeah, it still fits. How about that? Just gotta suck it in, really, to basically, you know, basically wear it. But yeah, it's seen a lot of hard times and everything. But yeah, I've had this since I was a kid, and I've always thought about, hey, I should frame it and everything because, you know, don't want to tear it any more than it is. But yeah, I've had it since I've been a kid, since 1990, believe it or not, 1990 with this. So really, just a lot of great memories with that. So yeah, it's just, you know, I get, you know, I understand what people are saying. It's kind of hard to imagine that there's not going to be any A's in Oakland anymore. But again, like I said, I just got this feeling to probably be back before you know it, because, you know, Fisher, he hasn't gotten really everything, you know, that, you know, he needs to get off the ground for the move to really, you know, go forward. You know, he really hasn't. And, you know, it's just hard to kind of like imagine that whole scenario, if you will, playing out, you know, the way it is. You know, it's just hard to imagine that whole scenario playing out right now, to where he wants to get things done and ready to go for groundbreaking and construction next year. You know, but how is he going to make that happen? You know, how is this scenario going to, it's like, how is he going to make this scenario play out for him if he doesn't, you know, if he hasn't gotten to that if he hasn't gotten past the halfway point, is what I'm trying to say. But we'll see what occurs. But yeah, it's just a lot of memories. Never forget them. And yeah, that's all I can really say. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below in the comments. What are your thoughts on this whole situation with the A's and this being the last day in Oakland? What are your memories if you've seen the A's? I mean, I even saw the A's when I lived in Kansas City. It was like one of the first games I saw at Kauffman Stadium when I moved back there around '94. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the Teespring store. Link is in the description at the bottom. Also, check out the links to where you can find me elsewhere here on the internet, as well as you can find me at divanart.com at BVW1979. And really, guys, that's all I can say. But give me your thoughts. What are your memories? And how do you feel about this? And do you think maybe there's a good chance that if Fisher doesn't get beyond or past that 50-yard point, that 50% point, that the A's may not just stay in Sacramento a lot longer, but they could end up back in Oakland? Let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, I am out. But yeah, let me know how you feel about this. Let me know what your memories are. And take care.